You ever just daydream about a perfect paradise? You know, a place where all the struggle, all the wanting, all the stress just stops. It's this fantasy we all seem to share, this idea of ultimate peace. But what if that very promise, that happily ever after, actually hides a huge, unsettling puzzle about what makes life meaningful to begin with? Okay, let's get into it. So, right off the bat, let's ask a pretty tough question. We spend our whole lives chasing this idea of perfect happiness. But what if getting there, really getting there, forever, would actually make everything meaningless? That's the big paradox we're going to unpack.
And that leads us to what you could call the paradise puzzle. It seems like our ability to find meaning in anything is completely wrapped up in the experience of striving, of wanting something we don't have, of feeling incomplete. So you have to wonder, is a life without that constant pull of desire even living at all?
And this really lays out the core tension. On one side, you've got perfection. No more wanting, no more suffering. Everything is complete. But on the other side, you have meaning, which seems to come directly from all that striving and incompleteness. It feels like these two things we want are totally at odds with each other. Okay, to make this feel a little less philosophical, let's use a really simple analogy. Picture a football game, right? And it is a total blowout. It's 49-0 before halftime is even over. The outcome is a done deal. So what happens in a game like that? Well, the fans start checking their phones, they head for the exits. Even the winning players kind of go on autopilot. The win itself, the thing they were supposed to want, just feels hollow because the struggle is completely gone. And why is that? Because the meaning wasn't just in the final score. It was in the fight, the uncertainty, the raw desire to win. The second that desire has nothing to push against, the whole experience just falls flat. And that slingshots us right back to our main puzzle.
So let's see how this paradox shows up at the very heart of many religious traditions. We'll start with the Christian idea of heaven. How does a place of eternal, perfect bliss deal with this whole problem of desire?
Well, the traditional story is kind of a loop, right? Humanity starts in a perfect Eden, gets kicked out, and then spends all of history trying to get back to another perfect place, heaven. But that brings up a really logical problem. If we could mess it up and fall out of paradise once, what's to stop it from happening all over again? Well, one answer from Christian theology is this idea that we'll be radically transformed. This line from 1 Corinthians suggests we won't just be our same old selves in a new, shiny location. No, we'll be fundamentally changed, given a new, heavenly image that's free from all the flaws that led to the first fall. Okay, that sounds like it solves the problem, doesn't it? Well, maybe not, because it opens up an even bigger, more personal question about identity. If we are so completely and totally changed, then in what way are we still us? Think about it. What gets erased in that transformation? Our memories? Our relationships? Our values? The entire structure of our consciousness, which was built on desire and lack. If all that is gone, is the person enjoying paradise really you? Or just someone else entirely? Now, this isn't just a problem for Western thought. It's fascinating, because if we pivot over to some schools of Buddhism, we see they run into their own version of this exact same paradox. See, in some Buddhist traditions, the ultimate goal, Nirvana, isn't about getting everything you ever wanted in a perfect heaven. It's the total opposite. It's about the complete extinction of desire. We're talking about the end of all feeling, all perception, even the dissolving of the conscious self. But right there, you hit the paradox. To get to a state of no desire, you have to desire it a lot. The whole spiritual quest is fueled by the very thing you're trying to get rid of. You literally have to want more than anything else in the world to stop wanting. It's a real mind bender. So let's just recap the two paths we've looked at here. With Christianity, the goal is eternal fulfillment, but the paradox is that the you who gets there might not be you anymore. With this school of Buddhism, the goal is to dissolve the self, but the paradox is that you have to intensely desire it. Both are wrestling with the exact same fundamental problem, just from completely different angles. Okay, so we've talked about theology, we've talked philosophy, but what about people who say they've actually seen a glimpse of what's next? Let's take a look at near-death experiences, or NDEs, and what they might reveal.
What's so wild about NDEs is this huge paradox right at their core. People will report these incredibly intense, life-changing experiences that they say felt realer than real, and this is all happening while their brains are showing almost no activity. It's a total disconnect between what they experience and what we can measure.
But here's the kicker. The content of these experiences isn't the same for everyone. It's often shaped by what a person already believes. Christians tend to see Jesus. Hindus might see something related to reincarnation. What this suggests is that even in these profound moments, our minds are still filtering the experience through the frameworks we already have, our own deep-seated desires and ideas about what gives life meaning.
So, where does that leave us? After digging into all these paradoxes in heaven, nirvana, and even NDEs, we get to what might be the most important part of all of this: how we can reframe our relationship with desire itself right here and now.
Because maybe the point of all this isn't to get a final, perfect answer about what happens when we die. Maybe the real value in wrestling with these paradoxes is that they force us to look at the role of wanting and striving in our actual day-to-day lives a little differently.
And this isn't just some abstract thought experiment. We can actually find meaning in the wanting through real actions. Things like rituals, like a special weekly meal that makes ordinary time feel sacred, or practices like meditation that help us change our relationship with desire instead of just trying to get rid of it. And just simple awareness, contemplating our own mortality, which is a funny way of making life right now feel so much richer.
And that leaves us with one last idea to sit with. We spend so much energy treating desire like it's a problem, a bug in the system that needs to be fixed, but maybe we've been looking at it all wrong. Perhaps the sacred, the truly meaningful, the divine, maybe it isn't waiting for us in some far-off perfect paradise. Maybe it's been here all along, hiding in plain sight, in the beautiful, messy, inescapable desires of our ordinary lives.